Today is Saturday, July 9th. By now, you've probably heard of Web3. The idea has been around for several years, but it's better known now thanks to its link to the blockchain and cryptocurrencies. And yet, not everyone is sure exactly what it is, and whether it's the internet of the future or just a dead-end trend. Today, our guest is here to help break it all down in plain English. Gilad Edelman is a senior writer for Wired magazine. He wrote the June cover story called Inside the Web3 Revolution. He learned all about Web3, got to know the people hoping to make it mainstream reality, and shares the potential pros and cons of this latest buzzword. Welcome to the Newsworthy Special Edition Saturday, when we sit down with a different expert or celebrity every Saturday to talk about something in the news. Don't forget to tune in every Monday through Friday for our regular episodes, where we provide all the day's news in 10 minutes. I'm Erica Mandy. It's now time for today's Special Edition Saturday. Gilad, thank you so much for coming on the Newsworthy.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
So before we get into all things Web3, you talked in your article for Wired about what came before Web3. So how did we get here? Can you describe what was Web 1 and Web 2?
So Web 1.0 basically refers to that first era of the commercial internet, best exemplified by the era of, dialing into AOL to access the web. And the basic characteristic of Web 1.0 in hindsight is that it was kind of a passive experience. You were mostly looking at stuff online, but most people weren't creating anything. That's when you get to this Web 2.0 idea. So this was the era of user-generated content. It could be uploading videos to YouTube. It could be posting on Facebook. It could even be, writing product reviews on Amazon, editing Wikipedia pages, etc. Despite its early promise for kind of empowering the individual, what we now understand about Web 2 is that it empowered a small number of companies above all. Because what we now know is that, sure, in some ways anybody can be a creator, but it's the companies that own everything, that own the data, that control it, and that kind of dictate the terms that you can participate in the internet.
So we went from passive consumption of the internet to actually being people who put out the content and being interactive with it. And that's where we are now. But to your point, larger tech companies really took over. What is Web3? What could be next? And how would you describe it to someone who really knows nothing about it at this point?
The idea of Web3, and as simple a way I can put it, is to truly make the web decentralized using blockchain technology.
Okay, so people have probably heard about blockchain from cryptocurrency. Blockchain is basically the technology that cryptocurrency runs on.
Exactly. Blockchain is just a distributed database.
And I know you've talked about cryptocurrency has decentralized money. So you think there's no central bank or there's no central authority like a bank or a government. So Web3 is meant to decentralize everything. Can you explain a little bit more about that?
Web3 is basically the idea of, hey, what if we use that blockchain stuff to at its simplest level, it's kind of about, instead of like a Google or a Facebook owning all the data that you generate by using it, instead, you'll actually own your personal data and you'll be in control of it. It won't live on a server that's sitting in a warehouse in Indiana that Amazon owns. It will actually be living on this distributed database that we call blockchain.
So can you give us an example? I mean, could this be a social network that isn't run by Facebook, for example, or Meta, but on the blockchain where everybody owns their own data, but it's still a social network that looks similar?
Yes. The idea with like a Web3 Instagram would be that you're uploading photos, but you're the one who controls access to them, just like you control access to whatever cryptocurrency you own or whatever NFTs you've bought or other things like that. And that means that since you can control them, if you don't like the way that this platform is being run, which presumably would be sort of by like the community of people who participate in it, you could easily take all your photos and your connections and whatever and move them to a different blockchain-based version of Instagram because the platform didn't own all your stuff, didn't control all your stuff, you controlled it.
What would be the incentive for users to switch from their current platforms to one on the blockchain?
The answer that Web3 people give is economic incentives. So almost every Web3 startup proposal that I've come across has some version of this. The way we're going to incentivize people to start using this network is that we're going to create some crypto token out of thin air associated with our platform. And we're going to give it to everybody who uses it. And as more people use it, the demand for those tokens is going to go up. And that's going to give everybody an incentive to keep using it and participating because and contribute to the platform because their own tokens are going to become more valuable. Now, depending on your perspective, this can look like an ingenious way of kind of kickstarting a new platform, or it can look like the financialization of everything, where if you think social media is bad already, just wait until everybody has an economic incentive to be uploading photos and, otherwise posting and spending even more time than they already do.
Still ahead, what does the current so-called crypto winter mean for the future of Web3? Our guest shares his analysis and explains where the metaverse comes into play too. Plus, what would online content moderation look like in a Web3 world? But first, let's take a quick break to thank our sponsors. I'm excited to tell you about Thrive Cosmetics, where you can get great beauty and skincare products made with clean ingredients. I really appreciate knowing that their products never have parabens, sulfates, or phthalates. They're certified 100% vegan and cruelty-free. And I love their products. Specifically, I use the Liquid Balm Lip Treatment all the time. It feels really nice on, it looks great as a shiny, clear gloss, and it keeps my lips nice and moisturized. I just keep it in my purse all the time now, and I'm planning to get their exfoliating lip scrub next. I also like the Liquid Lash Extensions Mascara. It's a bestseller, and it has 20,000 5-star reviews for a reason. And no matter what products you buy from Thrive Cosmetics, here's an added bonus. Cause is in their name on purpose. Every purchase supports organizations that help communities thrive. Their mission is called Bigger Than Beauty, and it supports a variety of causes. Now is a great time to try Thrive Cosmetics for yourself. Right now, you can get 15% off your first order when you visit thrivecosmetics.com/newsworthy. That's Thrive Cosmetics, CAUSEMETICS.com/newsworthy for 15% off your first order. Today's podcast is also brought to you by Indeed. There are usually 2 or more sides to every story, but if you want to hire great talent for your business faster, there's one way we recommend you do it. You need Indeed. Indeed is the hiring platform where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place. Instead of spending hours on multiple job sites searching for candidates with the right skills, Indeed is a powerful hiring partner that can help you do it all. You can find great talent faster through time-saving tools like Indeed Instant Match, assessments, and virtual interviews. I appreciate that Indeed puts a guarantee in place. It is the only job site where you only pay for applications that meet your must-have requirements. Again, Indeed's doing something no other job site has done. Now with Indeed, businesses only pay for quality applications matching the sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/newsworthy to start hiring now. Just go to Indeed.com/newsworthy. Indeed.com/newsworthy. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed. Okay, now back to my conversation with Gilad Edelman. Even though there's a lot of debate about content moderation and who should be in charge, what could that look like when it comes to Web3? Because some people worried about things like child porn or hate speech becoming rampant if nobody's moderating this content.
Totally. This is an interesting tension in the Web3 space. One claim that its supporters make is, this is good because it'll be censorship resistant. But of course, many and perhaps most people actually don't think that the problem with the current internet is that there's too much censorship of users. Some people think that for sure, but a lot of people think the opposite. So what would that look like in a blockchain-based ecosystem is very hard to say. I think in theory, Web3 supporters would say, well, you're going to have different communities that are going to have the power to make their own decisions about how to run things on their platform. And that, of course, sounds very appealing. But as you suggest, you could also imagine kind of a darker path where, because there's no control, there's no way to enforce rules on communities.
Going back real quick to the cryptocurrencies, we have seen a major drop in value of cryptocurrencies recently. Do you think that will impact the success or hype or potential for Web3?
I do, because as I wrote in my article, there are a lot of people who are really, really idealistic, who really believe there's something exciting being built here and they want to be part of building it. However, there are also plenty of people who see an opportunity to make a lot of money. And when the value of the assets plummets, a lot of those people are not going to stick around. Now, what does this mean? It could mean that a year from now, nobody's talking about Web3 anymore. But I reached out to a lot of my sources in the Web3 world, and they remain very bullish. And they think, if anything, it's, maybe it's good that the people who are more economically driven get flushed out by the crash, and so that only the true believers stay behind after the purifying fire of a market crash.
Another term there's a lot of hype around is the metaverse. How is the metaverse related to Web3?
Good question. I think the metaverse, the way that most people are coming across the term, is really referring to virtual reality spaces, just like a dramatically expanded use of virtual reality. That's what Meta, the company, wants us to think about when we hear the word metaverse. So that's very different from what we've been talking about, right? Virtual reality is not the same thing as, blockchain-based networks. The overlap is this idea that in the metaverse, we're going to want to buy and sell things, and those things will be blockchain-based assets, because the thing that blockchains and crypto do allow you to do is buy and sell scarce digital assets. When I was growing up, I'm not sure that my dream was to one day own, a digital version of like my favorite stuffed animal in a virtual reality world. But, I'm in my 30s, so I might be out of touch. Maybe that's what the kids want. I don't know.
Let's recap and try to summarize at least one top pro and one top con of what Web3 could be.
Top con would be all of these people could be working on other things that have a higher likelihood of success or have like a more tangible impact. And, there's negative consequences to all the time and money that are being devoted to an area where even the true believers will tell you that 90% of it is speculative assets that are going nowhere. And I would say top pro is you have a lot of very idealistic people who are earnestly trying to use cutting edge technology to improve the way that we interact with the internet. And they have very noble goals. And even if this overarching vision that I've sketched out is too pie in the sky, they may very well come up with some pretty cool innovations that make a lasting impact on how we do things.
Well, thank you again to Gilad Edelman for explaining Web3 for us today. To read his full cover story all about Web3, head to wired.com and look for the article titled Paradise at the Crypto Arcade Inside the Web3 Revolution. We'll also link to it in our episode notes. As always, join us for the Newsworthy's regular weekday episodes as well. We bring you the day's stories to know in 10-minute roundups every Monday through Friday. All right, we'll be back on Monday. Until then, have a great weekend.